Hello, YouTube friends. My name is Constance and this is Cruelty Free Musings. Welcome back to my makeup collection. I decided that I'm going to be showing you all my makeup collection, all of the things that I have category by category. I don't have my rings on. That feels weird. So I started with single shadows. And the next thing that I'm going to show you, keeping with the theme and also they're sitting out on my desk, is my eyeshadow palettes, and I figured I would also show you my single shadows that are in compacts because I forgot about those when I was showing you my single eyeshadows, and my eyeliners, because I have a decent eyeliner collection for someone who rarely wears eyeliner. I did get a bunch of Urban Decay 24/7. I got their holiday mini pack of 24/7 eye pencils, and I'm really liking those. They glide onto the waterline really well. I need to keep track of when I'm using them and see how long they actually last. I am wearing one today. It's been on since about 10 o'clock, so, you know, it's been 3 hours. It's no big deal, but, you know. Let's move on to the collection! First, this is the Juvia's Place Mini Masquerade palette. So this was one of the early Juvia's Place palettes to come out with beautiful foiled shimmers, a colorful section with mostly foils and one matte. It is a really pretty purple burgundy. And then a bunch of neutrals down at the bottom. They lean warm, so like properly speaking, they're like nude shadows. You can get kind of a nothing look with them. This is really pretty. I like it. I find it kind of difficult to wear on an everyday basis because a lot of these shadows are really dark on me. So I have to use my creativity to like set up a look with these, and I mostly default to like one shimmer or 2 or 3 shimmers blended into each other across my lid, and then like buffed into the crease a little bit with one of my single shadows sometimes. So I rarely use the halves of this palette in combination, even though I do really like the neutrals in here, and I find that I can get a very nice neutral look out of this palette, as well as a bright, colorful look with lots of blues. That is the Mini Masquerade. All right. Next up, another Juvia's Place palette. This is the Zulu palette. This is the size pans that the Masquerade originally was, and that is why I got the Mini Masquerade, the small version of the Mini Masquerade. Honestly, if this were available in a smaller size, I would get the smaller size. I love this palette. It makes me all kinds of happy to combine shadows out of this palette. I actually, what was the last thing that I did with this? I think I like put this bright teal in the crease, and then this in the inner corner, and this in the outer corner, and then that was just kind of like a light, fresh, natural, a light and fresh and very colorful. That's what I was going for. Look without like the dimension was coming from different colors rather than an actual deepening of the outer corner. I really like this one. I don't know if you'll be able to tell from this swatch on my finger, but you might be able to tell on the back of my hand. It is a duochrome, so it's a beautiful pink, rose gold. So it's a pink base with a strong gold shift. It's kind of boring as a color, but it might be my favorite color in this palette. Like, you might think this grass green. Honestly, possibly the rose gold. I do love green. And this is up there, I will be honest. And you can also get a very warm look out using any of these mattes. Colorful or more neutral, nude sort of colors using the mattes. But I really love this palette for the shimmers. And that, again, is partly my personal eyes. I find that shimmers never do weird things on my eyes. Like, they'll transfer a little bit up above the crease because my eyes fold in on themselves pretty aggressively. You can see I don't have a lot of visible lid space when my eyes are completely open. So, so the shimmers transfer a little bit up above my crease for that reason. But if you just blend the shimmers into the crease, then you can't tell. So I find that that works really well for me. All right, continuing on the path of working back to front in my little shadow container. This is the Alchemy palette. Oh, it is #Alchemy palette. This is from Cliona Cosmetics. I will try not to blind you with mirror, but you can see, like, this is an entire palette full of duochromes, and you can actually see that in the mirror pretty well, how, like, they look different depending on how the light is hitting them. Like, in the mirror, this middle shade, that looks blue, right? But in the palette, as it's facing you, it looks more green. That is a duochrome. I love duochromes. I love how they are. Like, I find that these are very easy to apply. In particular with my pan that, or it's not a pan that palette, but I am panning some shades from a quad in my current project pan, which is an all matte quad. So I find that this is a great palette to pull in when I'm doing something that's, you know, basic and boring, shaped with the, you know, the shape comes from the palette that I'm panning, and then the interest comes from the duochromes all over the lid. So, yes, I love duochromes. I love that I have an entire palette of duochromes. I think that the Cliona Cosmetics duochromes are very nice. You will notice that there are two very large pans here. These are intended to be duochrome highlighters. They are way too dark on me. I tried once with this one. No, it looks like a streak of color even when I'm looking straight ahead. Moving on. This is the Just Peachy Mattes palette. It is beautiful. It smells like peaches. You can only get very warm looks with this palette, I find. Like, there are some neutral-ish leaning browns in here, but they're mostly the dark browns. Like, this brown is quite neutral, and this brown, yeah, that brown is quite neutral. This one, peach tea. But, like, there's two shadows in this entire palette that are not very warm. That's fine. This is my warm matte palette. There is this color, which many people have pointed out is a satin to faintly shimmery color. It's fine. It, I like satins anyway, and satins and shimmers, so, like, it doesn't you know, it doesn't bother me, but I like this palette. I love that it has a very sturdy case. I apparently can't remember which button to pull up on right now, but yes, this is my only predominantly warm palette. I love it for that. I love that I have it in my collection. I love using it. It is a very nice, warm tone, nude, natural look palette, and I do really enjoy it. And then this, oh, let's try to get minimum amount of light involved in this. Oh, this packaging is so reflective. This is the chocolate gold. This is the chocolate gold, and I'm sorry, there is no way to cover up this entire mirror with just my two hands. My hands are large, they are not that large. I got this for Christmas, and it is beautiful, and I love it. This palette made me discover an inner corner highlight for the first time. I put this gold right here in this inner part of my eye, and I was like, oh, that actually catches the light. Wow. So yes, chocolate gold, yes, chocolate gold, and Rich Girl are my two favorite inner corner highlights out of this palette. I have not tried every shade in this palette. I have worn it a substantial number of times. It smells very intensely of chocolate for like 2 weeks. It's starting to fade now. I've used it enough. It's had enough exposure to air that it is not absurdly scented. But yes, I like this. I haven't dipped into the matte at all because I got it after I had already decided that I would be panning a small matte quad, so I'm just using a transition shade out of that quad. So, yeah, I haven't dipped into the mattes at all, but I do really enjoy the shimmers in that palette. Really like it. Okay. And this one I bought for myself, and I have used a decent amount. You can probably see from, like you can probably see that is decently used. Like there's a dip in Adorn and in Electric. Electric is honestly my favorite shade in this palette. I love the mattes in here. Like I know that this is not the standard Anastasia Beverly Hills palette to love. But I love the color scheme in here. I love the color story. I love that I can get a warm look or a cool look. It's always gonna look grungy and fall/wintry. I mean, unless I go for specifically like Roxy deepened with fudge. Like I can probably get away with that in the summer, and I have. I don't love Cube, even though it's a duochrome, because it shifts so intensely pink, and I don't know, I find that it doesn't work as an inner corner highlight, but on me, like as I said, the first time that I discovered inner corner highlights that worked on me was out of the chocolate gold palette. So, like, I don't like Cube as an inner corner highlight, but I think I've used every shade in this palette. Let me just do a quick visual check. I'm not certain that I have used Axis, that is this deep blue color. I think I have. There is only a visible swatch mark in it, but I know for a fact that I have used every other shade, and I really like this palette. It is a little difficult to work with, but if you just look up a specific way to use and this is also the new pressing of Subculture. I got it this year, so it was the new batch. I got it when it went on sale. I love it. I will be sad when I use it and love it so much and it expires, but hopefully a new grungy palette will have come into my life by then. So yes, I find that the mattes are a little difficult to work with, but they're not as difficult to work with as the first batch, which was, you know, the drama around Subculture. If you're not aware, you can look it up. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube about like Subculture first impressions that utterly, like, there's a bunch of people that hated Subculture. I love the color story above all. So it was my first Anastasia palette. It is my only Anastasia palette currently, and I really enjoy it. It's my only Anastasia eyeshadow palette, let's be clear. I do own a face palette. This is another controversial palette. Like, a lot of people did not like this palette at all. This is the ColourPop My Little Pony collaboration palette. And if you look at the colors of the My Little Ponies on the front, and then you look at the shadows, you're like, oh, yeah, like those shadows go together. I did not buy this for nostalgia reasons. I never watched My Little Pony. I have no attachments to the show at all. I just love the color story, and there's a bunch of great shimmers in here that I love pairing with Subculture specifically. So, you know, if I want to do like a grungy green look, I can use this as an inner corner highlight. Like, I know that I said that I don't really do inner corner highlights, and partly that's because I have chronic persistent allergies, so like gunk piles up in the corners of my eyes and then I scratch it and then, oh, goodbye inner corner highlight. It was nice to see you. But like, I can use this on the inner corner of my eye. This looks white but is in fact a duochrome with a strong teal shift. That's another one that goes really well on the inner third of the lid. Love that. These two are dark shimmers. This is a dark teal and this is a dark blackberry. I really love pairing these two shimmers for just like an all over, like, for just a very, very purple look. I love this. I can blend it out with either of these two very pink mattes, or I can grab for one of my actual purple single eyeshadows, or I can go with a very neutral transition, either brown or basically my skin tone. Like, I have no problems just like throwing these two, this all over my lid, this to deepen in the outer corner. Lovely, very purple, probably my favorite look out of just this palette. And then I love pairing the teals and these bright summery shimmers. Actually, I love with Subculture. This is just a very pale golden shimmer. It's fine. Like, I would use it for the same purpose that I use these two, which is like a little brightness in the inner third. It's like, sure, I can put it there, but it's like, it's nothing special to me. Like, it's not an interesting color at all. This is a pale, it's just a matte white. Like, it's very faintly purple. Like, you can probably see it's a very faintly purple. Throw it on there. yeah, you can see it just blends straight into my skin, so I use that as a blending shade if I really want to do like a, if I really want to blend out my shadows with a matte white. This palette has one. It's fine. So overall, I don't love every color in here, but I find that like this is a very functional all shimmer eye look. This is a very functional all shimmer eye look. This is a very functional all shimmer eye look. And then I can use the mattes as helping hands, or I can combine it with the mattes in another palette. But basically, this is a shimmer palette to me. I use it like that. I love it. I love the colors. Someday I'll actually combine the teals and the purples together, and that'll probably be a really interesting eye look day. But I have not done that as yet. All right. My last large palette was another Chrismica gift. This is the Bare Minerals Aurora Lights palette, which I was so excited to get. It sold. I gave it to my mother-in-law on my wish list, and then the next time that I checked, I was like, it's already out of stock. But I would guess that she actually went in store and found it for me. I have used this a lot. I really enjoy the formula. I have not, again, same kind of thing as with the chocolate gold, I have not actually played with any of the mattes in here because I have been using the transition shade out of the quad that I'm panning. But I really love the shimmers. This one in particular, Romp. Oops. This one, Romp. It's a taupe. It's really pretty all over the lid. It's a little dark all over the lid, but it still catches the light in a really nice and interesting way. Or I can tap one of these lighter shimmers like Interstellar, again in the inner third of my lid to make them look a little bit larger. I am very nearsighted, so when I wear my glasses, that's a trick that I employ a lot because my eyes would look like little tiny pinpoints if I didn't have something bright and shiny and eye-catching on the inner third of my lid. They would look like invisible. Retro would probably also be a pretty good shimmer. Again, I have not used every color in here, and part of that is that I am really drawn to the mid-tone shimmers in here. I've used Louder, Romp, Catch Me If, Santorini. I've used Santorini actually to lighten the inner third of my lid. I've used Dazzle, which actually does show up green on your lid, like even using it over another shimmer to deepen the outer corner. I combined it with Louder, and I thought that that was gorgeous. They mix and become blue. And then I've used Stardust and Interstellar. Again, lighter shimmers that I use to lighten the inner third of my lid. A very functional palette, very nice shimmers, very pretty formula. I like my first exposure to the Bare Minerals eyeshadow formula, which honestly would not even have been on my radar if I hadn't discovered like how much, if I hadn't discovered Beauty News and how much Kat and Haley love Bare Minerals, like this would not even have been on my radar. Even though Emily Noel reviewed it and she was like, I love it, it's gorgeous, because I had already been exposed to how much Kat and Haley love, how much they love the Bare Minerals shadow formula. When Emily Noel reviewed it and was like, this is gorgeous, I was like, this is going on my list. So I got it, and I am very happy that I got it. It's a very extremely neutral palette, but I do really enjoy it as a neutral palette. It's really nice. Then this is the Natasha Nona Star Palette. This is another holiday time acquisition. My parents got this for me. I have used every shade in this, not that that was hard. I used every shade in this actually the first day. I do find that the shimmers kind of rain down on my under eye, so I get little sparkles on my under eye over the course of the day, but I really enjoy the color story of this palette, and in my most recent haul I got some glitter glue to try and fix the shimmers raining down on my under eye problem. Alright, next thing is a Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Quad. This is Smoke. Notice how it's basically untouched? Yeah, I use this as a brow color, which means I basically don't use it ever. It's fine. Like, this is actually a really good color for me. It's a great color match. For my brows, if I'm doing a more dramatic eye look and I'm wearing contacts, then I need to fill in my brows, and this is great for that. For a more everyday look, I don't fill in my brows typically, even if I am wearing contacts. If I'm wearing my glasses cover my eyebrows, so it does not matter. So yeah, I have used this for an eye look, I think once. Like, I tried to genuinely use this as eyeshadows once. And they are all very dark on my skin tone. Like, this dark white, that's a reasonable blending out shade. Like, this is not a transition for me in any meaningful sense, even though the analog to this shade is my transition in the other quad that I'm about to show you, which is in my project pan. So like, I could use this palette. It would not be a functional quad for me because, like, this looks like mud when I put it into my crease. Yes, I probably could deepen with this second bluey gray shadow and then line with this black. Like, that would probably work. I'm just not into gray smoky eyes, and I think that a lot of people weren't, and I think that that's why this quad in particular went on sale. Next up, this is that other Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Quad. This is in Rust. You can see that this shade is highly used. It was highly used before I put this in my project pan, because I find that this shade is a little bit dark on me. I have to use it very cautiously. Same kind of deal as with the Smoke Quad. But I really prefer combining these two to make a neutral brown versus using this as my, as a mid-tone color on me to kind of put in my crease. So like, this is a nice transition shade, and then the way that this palette got a lot of use in a previous lifetime was by dipping back and forth between these two colors and then putting that into my crease or deepening with that. I am a little more skilled with makeup now, so I can actually deepen with this deep brown, and I do actually like that look. I'm using actually every shade in this quad today. I use this shade more or less as a corrector, because I don't find that highlighting with mattes is something that I particularly care to do. So I use this shade to correct anywhere that I have blended a dark color down too low. I will either like blend over it with this matte cream, or I will like take a packing shadow brush and just lay cream down over it, because like this is basically my skin tone. So it works great for that. As I've mentioned before, I can get as I was just saying, I can get a very neutral look if I just use these two, or I can get a very warm look if I use these three. I went for the warm look today, and then I threw a green duochrome on the lid, because duochromes. So this is a very functional quad for me. I enjoy that I can get two different looks out of the quad just by itself. I don't mind traveling with it for that reason, although I find that the packaging is a little bit bulky. But it is in a pan because I don't like the formula. I find that it does not wear well on me at all. So this is my last thing. This is not my last thing, but this is my last more than one eyeshadow palette. This is a Julep duo. What is this? It's called the Feels Like Velvet Full Coverage Eyeshadow Duo. This is in Champagne and Caviar. Presumably this is Champagne and this is Caviar. It's nice. Notice that these are both shimmery and both are used. I use, like this creates a functional eye look for me, again, because shimmers wear fine in my crease. So like these are not very high foiled, but they create a nice natural look. What I actually love this compact for is the size of the mirror. I use this compact all the time as a little hand mirror while I'm doing my makeup. So the eyeshadows in here are fine. I would travel with this as a hand mirror and be perfectly fine with my life choices. I hope you enjoyed or learned something from the mini reviews or whatever. Like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you feel like. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now. Eyeliner.